Listen, Danny, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. It is greatly appreciated.
No worries, mate. All good.
Great, fantastic. Overall, starting off with the year really more than anything else, how's 2020 been treating you so far? And have the Heretic Order been reacclimatizing to the world following the grinding halt to the music business that happened over the past few years?
Well, it's not bad. We were lucky enough that we managed to finish our album whilst we were in the COVID restrictions, and we actually hoped to put it out before, but we spent like 2 years just waiting and waiting and waiting, and kept on waiting to see things how they were gonna. So yeah, it's been. We haven't done as many gigs as we would like because apart from having the surprise of not having a new product, it's coming out very soon. We have the little problem that is called Brexit. So it's very difficult to go to Europe at the minute and tour there. The whole bit of a for smaller bands, you know,
Yep.
it's a bit complicated. I mean, big bands don't have a problem. They probably have a manager and the whole team preparing the carnets and the whole thing. But if you're a small band in the underground that you have to do everything yourself, it's a nightmare and it's a fortune. So apart from that, everything is good. I cannot complain. The album is ready to go and it's coming out in May.
That's it. There's nothing to complain about. It's as good as it possibly can be. But do you think, considering all these issues and not being able to play gigs and not really knowing when the hell the album was ever going to come out, do you think you coped as well as you possibly could? And what, if anything, kind of helped get you guys through this period?
Well, it was a very you had to self motivate yourself because we couldn't be even get together with as a band. So everybody, like apart from some camera like we're doing now, it was everything on your own really because even the album was recorded. We were really lucky that we managed to get all the drums done before the lockdown.
Yeah.
So the majority of the stuff I was lucky enough that I could do it from my home studio. I've got like quite good gear, so vocals and guitars and stuff like that I managed to do at home. So that was the lucky thing. We had done like some rhythm guitars on the drums, but apart from that, yeah, I think it was just getting back bit by bit to the to let's call it the norm.
Yeah. Do you guys think you're kind of stronger for the experience? You know, I know a lot of it was forced and a lot of it was so confusing because we never really knew what was coming next or when the possibility of things would be available. I don't know if you remember going back to like October, November 2020 when like we were having isolated shows, sit down gigs and things like that.
Yeah, well, I managed to because I was doing sound engineering,
Yep.
so I managed to do a couple before the lockdown. I managed to do a couple of gigs of sitting down with people with masks. It was so bizarre. It was a so I experienced that thing, and well, for us like as a unit, is we just had to wait and just like weather the storm, you know.
Yeah, you've done the best you possibly can do, and of course we are at this super exciting time, the build towards a brand new album release. The simple but pointed title of 3. Considering what's gone on, do you see this as a bit of a different beast to what the Heretic Order was before, or just the natural evolution of the band?
I think there's it's a bit different. Like we were and it's a we could say it's two things. Natural evolution was gonna always happen, you know. Like after many years, you become a better musician. Well, you're supposed to.
Yeah.
Like years pass, you play better. That's if you practice and like lyric wise and writing. I think the whole process has evolutionized. I mean, the first Heretic album was actually just a project. I didn't even think we were going to continue. It was just a one-off that I did whilst I was waiting for. I used to be in another band at the time to kick start doing something, but I mean things change
Yeah.
year after year, and it became just an important part of my life, the Heretic Order. So I think now is the right evolution where the band needed to be. You know, the first album was was composed kind of more kind of a project thing, not even thinking on a long term. It was a bit consolidated for the second album, and then we had so many good ideas and everything ready for the follow up. The second album came out in 2018, but then we had the COVID thing, so we waited and waited and waited and waited, and we were like, ugh. So, but at least it's gonna come out now, which is.
Yes, yes, absolutely. It's not too long to wait now. The themes and subject matters you always delve into are always very unique and fascinating. Can you give us some insight into where your mind was during elements of the creation of Three?
Well, many of the stuff that we have, it's many things that are based in history.
Yeah.
I love history. I'm a sucker for the history, and I always say like, you know, humans don't need to invent things or have science fiction or horror fiction or whatever, because the humans have done a very good job about being dark, evil, you want to call it, you know, like the reality is worse than the actual fiction. So in this album, there's loads of songs like that I based on history, you know, like kind of there's a song about the Cathars. They were like, the Cathars were a group of like very enlightened kind of a sect. You could say it's a sect, but like it was during medieval time in France, and they were very pagans. They actually lived with earth, and they had very modern ideas for the time. But that was something that was feared by the Catholic religion, the Pope. So they launched this crusade, and the Albigenses crusade, and half of them, nearly everybody was put to the sword, burned, horrendous. It was a massacre. It was a genocide. And it's things that you don't see in history books that much or like something. But I've always fascinated me, and I wanted to write about it. So there's a song about that. There's a song about like invaders and like kind of Viking raids. You know, there's much loads of history in the whole of the album, and then there's like the typical lovely things that I love. My conspiracy theories. You know, aliens, kind of a Anunnakis, kind of descendants, moving, still controlling the earth. You know, what they call the who actually controls the world. Satanism mixed, but Satanism not in the seen in a more intelligent way, not just like the 1970 Hollywood thing. But you know, I love my conspiracy theories, so the album is full of songs about that.
Do you see yourself as a storyteller, like a conduit for these unknown or not well-known elements of history and theories, as you said, and you're just kind of trying to express your view on them through the music?
Definitely, yeah. I always consider myself a storyteller. That I actually play the guitar, and I like my stories. I'm a big fan of fiction. Historical fiction, you know, Bernard Cornwell and David Pillin, you know, people like that, authors like that, and I love the stories, like mix a bit of fiction of characters that were in actual, because nobody knows what happened in those days,
Of course.
and mix it with some elements of history. So I try to model myself like that. So I consider my songs to be like that. So yeah, it's a storytelling thing, like little stories of horrible things that happen to humanity.
So, with that in mind, then, is it easy for you to look away from the modern real-life horror, the stuff that we seem to sometimes experience on a daily basis around us, and focus on the past, the history aspect, rather than what you're seeing right now?
I mean, the human species hasn't seemed like to evolve. We've just in technology, yes, but we are as cruel as we were back in the medieval times, even before. So you can see how warmongering our species is, and it hasn't changed.
Yeah.
Like technology and the world around us change the human world. I mean, nature's still the same, but we just destroyed more chunks of it. but spiritually, I think we haven't. The human species hasn't changed at all. So we are as cruel as ever. Look what's happening in places like Ukraine now. You know, like another war. Like it doesn't seem that the humans learn anything. So a way of tapping into history is like reminding people that it's a never-ending story. You know, it keeps creating and happening again, and nobody likes. It hasn't stopped. It's still the same.
No, that completely makes sense as well, the conduit between the two. How do you balance the desire to tell these stories, though, and your own personal feelings on them? Finding the order from the disorder, basically.
Yeah, I try to like just be more from a sense, not in my opinion, by a sense of actually witnessing what was happening, like a little story, and somebody witnessing somebody being mercilessly killed. You know, like in the sense of the Katha story I was telling, which is the song "Mark of the Beast"
Yep.
from the new album. So these little bits, mind you, I tried as well, not only lyrically but musically. There's loads of acoustic guitars, like passages in the song, which helps to get you the vibe of that little medieval, maybe kind of vibe.
Puts you in the mindset.
Yeah, I mean with music, like,
Yeah.
because I mean if we had a massive budget, we would do the videos and we would have mini movies there.
Of course.
But that's we've managed on our budget to do our last video. I don't know if you've seen it,
Mm-hmm.
the King of the Damned.
Yep.
And it recreates what the Kings of London. The song talks about that London Tower and how like the kings of the old were tyrants. Really, like you had to like just be treading in eggshells, because if they had a bad day, you could lose your head for nothing. So in a way, that's what we were recreating in that video.
You mentioned it, King of the Dam, Children of the Sun, both have been well received by fans so far. Does that reaction and the positive response to those two tracks in particular kind of ease your mind into how the full album is likely to be received?
I thought it was quite well received, those two songs, and the comments have been good. You know, I think the band has progressed a bit more. Everybody will, all artists will tell you that your new album is better than the other ones.
Of course.
It's a number, like for us, especially, I think this album has reached the peak we wanted, and obviously opened maybe a door to getting better. And I'm thinking of album 4. Who knows?
I love that. We're here to talk about your upcoming third album, but already you are an artist. That album is there, and you're looking towards the future, the next album. I won't pick your brains about that so much, but I do want to pick your brains about one specific thing. You have a few guests on this album, and I want to highlight one in particular, seeing as he's part of one of our personal favourite bands. I'm talking about Jeremy Gomez of Red Method. How did this collaboration come about, and what did he bring that was different to the Heretic Order table?
Well, I know Jeremy since we were kids. We were from the same place. We are from Gibraltar both. And we've got a connection. In my Breed days, I used to be the guitarist in Breed 7/7. But let's say I'm the guitar player in Breed 7/7. Although we are still in a hiatus. But the bass player of Breed is Jeremy's cousin. So we've always had that connection, and we've known each other. And for a long time, we were composing songs and trying some little ideas here and there, myself and Jeremy. So I had this song, and I needed really deep growl vocals. That his speciality, you know. Yeah. And I asked him, would you like to? And he was chuffed about it. So he came to my place. We started the whole procedure, and he sang stuff, and we went around it. So we had a really good time doing it. So this was so we have good friends, so it's normal that we end up doing some kind of music. Yeah, like collaboration here.
Yeah. Well, the end result speaks for itself. It is a banger track on a banger album. you've only got to wait, what? Well, a little bit over a month now until it's released, so not too much longer. With so many bands fighting for space in this online world, do you feel or do you think the Heretic Order are well positioned when it comes to understanding and working with the likes of social media and that desire for constant content and you needing to be very busy all the time?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to take a little bit a balance out of that because I think overdoing it, people start like thinking, especially in social media, oh, against them, oh, like it's going to be a balance of not being overly doing it and putting your thing out there.
Yep.
It's touch and go. Anything can go nowadays, like. We are lucky we got the Massacre Records that again, released the album, and they do their own thing, like press and all of the usual like media they do. But in the sense that I find it a bit it's there's too much out there, so people are time span is very very limited.
Yes.
And you've got to do what you do and just try to do it. I don't want to talk about badly about anybody or anything, but there's loads of crap out there as well. Some people doing social media wasting time, like that. And I think, oh man, I'm just trying to do this. It's just somebody like showing you what he's eating for breakfast. Who the hell I care? Or who else? So it's saturated. The whole thing is saturated with nonsense, really. and you just gotta pick with a fine toothpick, just find things that you like and enjoy in social media. Like the other day, I managed, I found some Machine Head new album, new song. I'm like, wow, something different in tons of rubbish that you're thrown. So you gotta go there and look for stuff.
You do need to wade through a bit of a swamp of rubbish to get to the quality stuff that actually matters to you. But you give yourself some ideas there. Further down the line, Heretic Order themed meals.
Yeah, could happen.
Anything that works. Lastly,
I mean, we keep on. Our main thing is playing live, and let's see how that works as well.
Yeah.
So whilst we have a platform, I consider social media just to be a platform.
Yeah.
To just show people. Before you needed a massive budget and buy anything. Nowadays, people have more access to bands without having to go through record companies or channels like that.
Social media, that platform, it's a trailer for your experience, be it live or actually on the album. Now, of course, while all your energy is going to be focused on the upcoming release and the release show that takes place in London, 27th of May, both people, what else are you kind of looking forward to this year? I know it's very difficult to plan. I know particularly gigs and the packing in of everything that was delayed, festival lineups, it's all a bit messy. Is the desire just to try and get out and do as much as you possibly can?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is to see how the album is received.
Fair.
I think the album came out too late on the circumstance. That's when we had we were waiting for a vinyl to print, to press vinyls for months.
Yeah.
So we couldn't do it before. So in a way, we lost the we're not a big band, so it's not that they're falling to our feet to bookers, but we lost the chance of getting festivals. Let's say Bloodstones, and we were lucky enough. We did Hage Viking last year, and this year we did the one in Birmingham, and we are going to play as well Call of the Wild on the 20th of May.
Yep.
Which is looking really impressive lineup, really cool. So I think for this year we're gonna just try to position ourselves, put the album out there, put the music out there, do as many gigs as we can. We would love to tour, do a proper month tour with some other bigger band, but that, like everybody who is in the business knows, is difficult. You have to pay for that. It's just money. It's nothing to do with how good you are or anything. It's like how much. It's just how much you can pay towards the tour or a buy-on or whatever. So that's difficult as well. So we'll see how like I say, how the audience and people out there in the press warm up to this album, and then we'll take it from there.
That's all you can do, and it's still an incredibly exciting time. 3, it's out on the 27th of May. Get on it, people. Buy it, and then you'll be able to tour the local towns that they want you to play in.
Exactly, that's the idea.
Danny, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
No, thanks to you, mate.
Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com, as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr. Go to Patreon to help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?